everybody. Welcome to Secrets of a Book Reviewer with Barbara Howe, presented by the Southern California Writers Association. We're very lucky to have her and we welcome you. Barbara her careers have ranged from selling wholesale gold jewelry to teaching grades from K to 12. She received her master's degree from Cal State Fullerton and a certification in Assistive Technology from Cal State Northridge. None of that prepared her to be a reader or a book reviewer. But she met Diane Valeri. Is it Valeri, Barb, or Valer?
It's Valer.
Valer.
It's Valer, yeah.
And reviewed one of her books and started adding comments to her mystery blog, Mysteristas. Right, that's Diane's blog.
Yeah.
Once Barb found out she could get free books in exchange for sharing her thoughts, she was hooked. Barb now has her own blog, Looks at Books. So I'm going to turn it over to Barb. She's going to tell us what reviewers look for and where we should look for a reviewer. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Howe.
Thank you for having me here today. And I want to encourage you to look at book reviewers as your best friend. Sometimes when I go to presentations, I ask if people read reviews and they're like, oh, no, I never read reviews. But you should, because we are your frontline salespeople and you don't have to pay us. All you have to do is give us a free book. So when I write a review, I take that book that you have slaved over for years and condense it down to like 250 words or so about the book and why my friends who are also readers should read the book. So I'm a reader, they're readers, you need readers, you need us. Now, we're important also because we use social media. Now, I know a lot of you don't like social media. You don't want your personal stuff out there online. That's fine. You know that I have several layers of anonymity. So you can create Facebook pages with pseudonyms. You can create Facebook pages just for your books, your authors, your readers, you know. Much as I love sharing pictures of the twins, nobody really wants to see them. All of those thousands of followers that Katie has don't care about pictures of the twins. So seriously think about looking at your social image and how we as readers can connect with you through social media, because that's what we're doing all the time. We promote books. We have contacts on social media. I have more contacts on social media that you could ever imagine. Now on Facebook, you can only have 5,000 friends, but there's a way around that. And if I posted a review, which is really a link to my blog with a photo of your book, if I posted it on every single one of my contacts, everywhere that I have, it would show up on about 85,000 people's pages. And I'll tell you how to do that, how to get around all that, and where to find all those things. But first of all, I want to talk about what I look for in a book that I'm going to review. I want a good book. I want the book that you have slaved over for 2 or 3 years to not have any grammar errors. I just can't stand that. But I find them. I guarantee you I find them. I find them in big company books, little company books. So please have somebody that doesn't know it be a beta reader and correct the grammar. I also want a book with continuity and consistent identification. I'm reading a lot of books a week. I want you to call your character by the same name all the time. I don't want it to be Nikki, Nicholas, Naiku, on different pages, because I don't want to have to work hard to figure out who these people are. You've got great characters. Call them by the same name, first name, last name. I don't care, just so that it's the same name. And don't really have characters drop in out of the sky without reason. If you don't have to give a name to every waiter, every person who passes on the street, because then I don't know who these people are. Where did they come from? Do I have to keep track of these people? What are they doing? If there's an unnamed person in the park, that's fine. There's just a person in the park, because we don't really know all those people's names in the park. So don't overload me with names of people that are not important to your storyline. And then really it goes without saying that you need some kind of a plot. I'm plot-driven, character-driven story reader, and you work hard on your story. Make sure the plot is solid, it's cohesive, there aren't 52 little dangling ends. You know, 1 or 2 are fine in case you're planning another book. That's really great. But I don't want to have to get to the end and wonder, you know, what in the world happened? All of these things are what you know makes a great book, and you work hard on your great book. So I want it to be great when I pick it up. So all that hard work is noticed by reviewers, because we notice if people are unidentified, if we don't know who they are, if the plot lags. But you fix all of that before it gets to us. Now, where are you going to find these readers? As I said, I'm just a tiny, tiny little drop in the ocean of readers, and yet I can give you 85,000 contacts. If you're not on social media, you really need to be. I know you're going to ask your friends to read the book and post a little review on Amazon, and that's great. But, you know, your friends are not going to really be your most important advocates. Your most important advocates are going to be people that you don't know that read your book and loved it. And they're going to post on Amazon. They're going to post on Facebook. They're going to post on all of those places. And they know other people who read. All of my 85,000 people are people who read books. They're not just, you know, strangers I pulled in off the street. So find people who read books. You know, certainly ask your friends, but cultivate social media friends who read books. And the way you do that is by setting up your social media presence and then looking at what other people are doing. You know what kind of books you write. You know the kind of person who might be reading it. I mean, is it a thriller? Is it a romantic comedy? Is it a family dynamic story? What is it? Is it a murder mystery? Is there blood running in the street? Look at those similar kind of books that you've read and loved, and then look at who reviews those books. Join Goodreads if you haven't, because Goodreads is only people who read. All those people on Goodreads read books. They read good books. They read thousands and thousands and thousands of books, and one of them should be yours. Join Goodreads. Look at people who read books like yours and friend them. Say, hey, I saw you wrote a review on such and such a book. I like that too. And accumulate that list of friends. Don't start out by saying, oh, I'm a writer, read my book, because they're not going to. But look at what they're reading. Select people. Ask them to be your friend. Comment on what they're doing. Look at what book groups they're in. Goodreads has thousands and thousands of reader groups, book groups of people who read, and join them. Comment. If you have a reader page, they'll comment. If you have an author page, they'll know you're an author. But as a reader, I'm more likely to accept a request from someone who has followed my reviews, commented on my reviews, is in Goodreads groups that I follow, and I know they're an author, and then suddenly I get a request, oh, I've got a new book coming out. Would you like to read and review it? Sure, because I know that book is going to interest me. And we all want to read books that interest us. We don't want to waste our time reading a book that's not what we normally would pick to buy. I want to read a book I would buy. You know, I'm not a big science fiction fan, so I don't look for science fiction books. I'm not a giant fan of the Civil War, so I don't seek those books out. That doesn't mean I wouldn't read one, but a cold offer for someone who writes a police procedure, a thriller, I might, because that's the kind of books I read. So find book groups on Goodreads that have the kind of books that you read. And do the same thing on Facebook. Facebook has thousands and thousands and thousands of groups of people who read books. I know you don't think much of Facebook. I don't think a lot about Facebook. I'm surprised some of the people on Facebook can read what they post, but there are dozens and dozens and dozens of groups that read cozy mysteries, groups that read historic mysteries, groups that read everything you can imagine. There's a group. So get your Facebook profile, get your Goodreads profile, search those groups, find people who read the books that you write. This is your niche. This is who you want to review your book. Because once they review their book, other people who like books follow them, will read your book, comment on what they've done. If somebody posts a review of your book, comment back to them, because they'll like that. And then they'll want to read the next book, and they'll recommend your book to other people because they've made that personal connection. It's really hard, especially now when we're all sitting here in offices instead of in bookstores, to make a connection with readers. But you'll make way more connections with readers on Goodreads and Facebook than you ever would, I hate to say this, in person at a book signing. I love in-person book signings. I go to every one I can, but you're gonna find way more people online. So just bite the bullet, figure out how you're going to craft your online presence and make that work for you, because that's where you're going to find brand new book readers. And I have people that follow my reviews who live in New Zealand, who live in Europe, who live all over, and they buy them on Amazon. They buy books on Amazon. Now, my 85,000 people does not include all the people who read reviews on Amazon, all the people who read reviews on BookBub, all the people who read reviews on Barnes & Noble, because I don't know how many people read my reviews, but they're all there. And those reviews are great. You read my reviews. Those reviews are great because that's someone who's really, really interested in buying a book. Most people who are dedicated reviewers and review on Goodreads, review on BookBub, they also post their reviews on Amazon, all of those other places as well. Because once you've got it written, it's just a cut and paste thing. So I encourage you to search for blogs where people read the kind of books you write. There are millions of blogs. Search for book groups. There are a lot of other avenues in social media that I don't do that much in because I'm pretty much set with what I've got. I spend about 20 hours a week reading books, writing reviews, and posting reviews. It's a part-time job for me. This is not just some little, thing I do an hour or two a week. I'm dedicated to it, and I'm dedicated to you guys who write books. But YouTube has a separate division for people who get on and want to read books. It's called BookTube, duh. People who want to read a little bit of their book, read a little bit of somebody else's book, get some comments about it. So if you're really good at the video part of this, set up a little BookTube account. Read a little bit of your book, ask some questions at the end, look for comments, and then look at the people who comment and make connections with those people. The same thing with Instagram. Instagram has its own separate little bookstagram. I don't do much on it because a lot of the books I get are ARC review copies, and I don't actually get the whole book. I just get a digital copy, and sometimes it doesn't even have the cover. So I can't put the cute little book there with the flowers and the coffee. I do that sometimes, but most of the time I don't have the book. But if you once you have a book, join Bookstagram, take a nice little copy of it, you know, a little artistic photo, because these are people who love books. So it's not Instagram where they're taking pictures of, you know, their cute little outfits, their hair, their shoes, their makeup. These people are taking pictures of books. And if you look and you see books that are like yours, make note of it, make a comment on what they've posted, and then post your comments as well. So it's a lot about give and take. We give, we take, you give, you take. It's really mutual communication based around your book. And in the past, a lot of publishers would do all this promotion, and you authors really didn't have to do anything. But especially now that big publishers really don't do a whole heck of a lot, or a lot of people are self-publishing, this is the way you find reviewers and you make your book successful. Basically, what it comes down to is find people who like to read books and ask them to read yours, and they will love it. That's all it is. There really isn't a big secret, because we're all readers. We love to read. Okay, so now we got a lot of questions here. When reaching out to a Facebook group, should you use your author page or your personal page? It doesn't really matter. Just pick one and stay with it. If you have an author page, that's the one you should use, because that identifies you as an author. It identifies your genre. It identifies the kinds of books that you're talking about, promoting, and that's what you want. That's the information you want to share with your Facebook followers. You know, yeah, it's not cute to see pictures of the kids in your vacation, but it doesn't sell any books. You know, this is all about selling books. Readers read books. You write books. Together, we sell books. Okay. What else we got here? Social medias are most effective. We talked about Instagram a little bit. You know, it's great to post pictures on Instagram if you got pictures of books, but if you're posting it in one place on Instagram, you can post it everywhere. You can post that same little picture on Facebook, on Instagram, on, you know, anything you can think of, especially the little segments on Instagram, Bookstagram, that is dedicated just to books. These are people who read. These are not people who are obsessed with makeup, who are obsessed with shoes. They're obsessed with books. Find them, find them. How do I get my reviews on Amazon? If they've not purchased on Amazon, it doesn't have to be purchased on Amazon. I just look up the book and I post it. It does not, now when you scroll through Amazon reviews, it will tell you if it's a verified purchase. And mine don't say it's a verified purchase because I didn't buy it there. But they take my reviews. I have no problem at all. There are guidelines on Amazon as far as posting reviews. You know, you have to use appropriate language and you can't swear and things like that, because they'll flag you for it. They do read them. But I have no problem at all posting on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, on BookBub, on any of those without having purchased the book. The ideal format for a book review. A book review should not be long. I know you have slaved for years sometimes over these books, and to see me condense it to 250 words must like kill you. But if a person is going to buy a book, they may not even read 250 words. They're going to read one paragraph, maybe two. So I try to keep mine to 3. Sometimes if I have gone up to 500 words, but I try not to. I do a very basic 1 or 2 sentence talk about what the book is about. So not a summary, not a plot summary. They can get that in the book description. But is it a murder book? Is it a mystery book? Is it a family book? You know, what kind of book it is. And then something about the plot development. Okay, it goes back and forth in time. There are multiple narrators. It's a first person. It has a lot of complex characters. Just one quick little paragraph about that. People don't need to know the plot. They're going to read it. If there's interesting geography, I'll talk about that. Like, hey, this book is great. You can open Google Maps and you can follow every place this person goes, because I like that. And then I close with like 1 or 2 sentences about how I felt. You know, I was shocked at the ending. I loved these characters. I cried. I couldn't put it down. Something about that. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but there's no need for me to rehash your plot. You want people to buy the book. You don't want them to read 500 words and go, oh, yep, I know who did it. Or a plot summary, because your publisher or whoever has already done that for you. What do we've got here? What do I do with all the books I get after I review them? Well, most of them are ebooks, so they just accumulate. I don't do anything with them. If I get a physical copy, or if I buy a book and review it, if I go to a book signing and I get a signed book, I really try to keep as many signed books as I can. That's kind of my hobby collection. But if I get a lot of them and I decide I need room for the more books I'm going to buy, so I have to clean out my shelves, I donate them to my local library and they sell them in their library shop. Sometimes I give them to a friend, but mostly I want the friends to buy their own copy. How do I find books I review? I am a member of 2 review services, NetGalley and Edelweiss. And those are services that are provided by, the publisher provides review copies, digital copies. And that was where I reviewed my first one. When Diane Valère came to the book carnival, she had her publisher at the time, now she's self-published, publisher at the time had a certain number of copies, and she sent me a link. I went to NetGalley and downloaded a Kindle book. And while I was there, I looked around and I'm like, whoa, look at all these other books. I love these books. And so I just started requesting books. And as a reviewer, they want to know where I'm posting books, how many reviews I post. So as I've continued over the years, my profile has gotten a lot more professional because I do more. But it started with one book. That's all it started with for me. Now, for all of you who want to get reviewers, for them, it probably started with one book too. But you may find somebody who's going to go down the road of being a book reviewer. But what you want to really, really want to do is find people who already review books. Find them on Goodreads, find them on Amazon, find them on Instagram, find them on Facebook. They're already reading, they're already reviewing books like yours, similar, no book is like yours, but they're similar taste, similar style, similar characters, similar geographic location, whatever. Find those people, friend those people, talk with those people, make a connection online with those people, and then say, oh, you liked such and such a book. Would you like to read my book? I think you'll like it. and chances are they're going to say yes. And then they'll tell their friends, and their friends will tell their friends, and you know, that's what you're looking for. Do I discuss literary value? I really don't discuss literary value. What I discuss is my reaction to this book. Every book has literary value because it's a book. Not very many books are going to change the world. Books are for entertainment. And was I entertained with this book? Did I enjoy reading it? Was it pleasurable? Did I like the ending, or was I surprised by the ending? Was it worth my time? So not really literary value, but time value. I want a book that's worth my time to read it. And that's what I tell the people who read my reviews. This book was worth my time. I read it, I enjoyed it, it was worth my time. Oh, well, now here's somebody who said that ARC readers have been rejected on Amazon. I actually have never had a problem with Amazon. So I don't know why somebody would be rejected. Well, you know, it's Amazon, who knows what they do. But I've never had a problem. Now, maybe it's because I also buy books and I also review other things. I have an Amazon Prime account, so, you know, I review my paper clips and my lawnmower and, you know, everything else I buy. So I have a lot of reviews, but I have never had an Amazon review rejected because I didn't buy the book there. Initially I've had a few rejected because they didn't like the language I used, especially in a quotation. If I'm quoting from a book, I have to be very careful about what the character says, because it is a public forum and not everybody wants to read the kind of language a character might say. So I learned that pretty quick. And they rejected it and they said, oh, you need to rephrase. You know, this was rejected because of content. Like, oh, okay, well, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Let's see. Do I think it's valuable for writers to write reviews for other authors? Sure. If you read a book and you write a review for another author, that's wonderful, because you're showing that author that, hey, this is a good book. You're showing all your reader friends, hey, this is a good book. Then you can look at all the other people who wrote reviews of that book that you liked. You can say, hey, I see that you like such and such a book. I wrote a great review of that book too. I loved it. You know, let's be Facebook friends. Let's be, you know, Goodread friends. And oh, by the way, I have a book that I wrote that I think you might like, because you and I both like the same book. Now, it's all about sales. It's all about making a connection. And so here's some, Sharon says that Amazon does require $50 in some kind of purchase before you can post a review. Well, that's, you know, $50 a day. I probably could qualify for that. So that could be that if you don't have an Amazon account and you're not active, that has not been a problem for me. Using a proofreader, purposely bent punctuation. Reader who comes to the book might be put off by rules that are broken. How do I prep the reader? If it's a colloquial book with conversation, I have no problem with, you know, non-standard grammar, non-standard punctuation, things like that. Or if it's a narrative, a first-person narrative, the thing that I find annoying is in the middle of a descriptive text, you know, there's plural errors, there's punctuation errors, there's word substitution errors here and here. And those are really just things that should have been caught by the proofreader. And When I worked with high school English kids, that's what I did all day long, was correct all those mistakes, and those just jump out on the page for me. Probably a lot of people are not as picky as I am about it, but I just am. But I also think it's professional to have a book that doesn't have grammar errors, unless it's a contextual, as I said, dialectic thing. You're writing something that happened, set in the South or set in the Civil War, where grammar was not the same as ours. And if that's the context, then it's acceptable, because the language you're using is the context of the story, and it fits the context of the story. But just be careful about other grammar. Probably not everybody cares about it as much as I do, but whatever. Do I have a bad review?
Barbara, before you move on to the newer questions, can we just hit some of these earlier questions?
All right, let me go back up to the top here.
So I got them for you. So
okay.
If somebody is looking for, you were talking about knowing what you write and who reads what you write.
Yeah.
If you write something like graphic novels, or you write in a different genre, do you have any suggestions on where you might find those specialty reviewers?
Goodreads. Oh yeah, and Facebook groups. There are Facebook groups for graphic novels. There's a Facebook group for everything. And just search Facebook groups and find it. And then you'll find people who are interested in the same thing. And the same goes for Goodreads. There are Goodreads groups for everything. And Goodreads promotes every kind of book. It promotes children's books, young adult books, graphic novels, every category of book that you can think of. And on Goodreads, it's people who read. Not everybody on Facebook reads. People in the Facebook groups read, but everybody on Facebook in Goodreads reads. And so there are search options, or just, if like these 3 books are kind of like what I'm writing, search for those 3 books and look at the people at the bottom of the page who've reviewed those books. And then ask them to be friends and say, hey, I read your review on such and such a book. I thought it was great. When you request a friend on Goodreads, you don't have to put any kind of a comment, but you'll get a better response if you do. So when you go to Goodreads and you click the little friend button, before you submit it, there up in the middle of a paragraph there's a little thing about leave a comment. Always leave a comment that you've seen what they do, or that you like their review or whatever, because then they'll go, oh, okay, here's actually a real person, rather than, somebody in the middle of Southeast Asia who's looking to, top their 1,000 people contacts and has no clue even what you do. So always try to make it personal, but Goodreads and Facebook groups.
All right, and what do you know about Book Browse as the hub for book clubs that also has reviews?
I don't use that much. Book clubs are a really great way to promote your book after you've been well established. In order for an online book group to pick up an unknown author, it really has to be maybe somebody within their group. But that would be a way to find people who read. Find people who read.
All right. So, and then we have, what do you do if you don't like a book that you're reading? And then from your perspective, a book reviewer can be your best friend, or maybe not. So if you're an author and you receive a review that maybe isn't going to make your morning, how do you handle that? So how do you handle it when you don't like a book? And as an author, how do you think we should handle it when we don't like a review?
as a reviewer, I try not to leave negative reviews because there are billions of readers out there and they don't all like what I read. I look at reviews of books that I've loved, and there are probably half the people who didn't like it. So I go into book reviewing knowing that not everybody agrees with me and not everybody is going to like the books that I like. So as an author, not everybody's going to like your book. So accept that fact. If you're reading a review and it's a 1-star review, 2-star, whatever, read it to see if there's any information about why they didn't like the book. Well, I didn't like the book because I don't like books set in Texas. Well, okay, move on. I didn't like the book because I didn't think the characters were realistic. Okay, now there's something that you can look at. Then look at other reviews and see, did they like the characters? Well, this was a great book. I love books set in Texas. The characters were kind of, wishy-washy, but, I love Texas, so I gave it 5 stars. So that's something, now you're looking at a pattern. Why did they not like the book? Well, they didn't like the characters all that much. Or, and if it's a book review on Goodreads, you can reach out to that person and say, well, gosh, I really thought these characters were interesting. What didn't you like about them? And then you're like, well, I don't like characters who work in gas stations, or I don't like characters who are not faithful to their spouses. Well, those are 2 different reasons. So if it really bothers you, reach out to the person who wrote the review to find out why. I have only written one 1-star review the whole time. I'm very picky about what I read. My time is valuable. I have a lot of other things I could do, like lay outside and, chew gum. But instead, I'm choosing to read books. So I investigate the books. I look at the summary of the books. I look to see if anybody else that I know has liked the book, why they liked the book. And maybe 1 or 2 who didn't like the book, why didn't they like the book? And then, I'll review it. If it's just that I don't normally read science fiction books, and this turned out to be a science fiction book, I'll put that in my review. I don't normally read science fiction books, but this had all of the things I look for in a book. It had a detective, and it had a good plot structure, and I didn't know anything about that space junk, but the other things were there. So I prime myself for writing reviews on books that I like. But you, as an author, should look at the reviews that people didn't like, as well as the ones that they did, so that you can see if it's a valid reason, or if they're just like, I didn't read it, I didn't like it because I didn't finish it. It was, I had to go back to the library, and I was done.
Okay, great. Okay, and then Larry had a question. What type of openings get you reading further? And conversely, what turn you off?
I like something that happens within the first sentence, of course, but within the first chapter, there needs to be some kind of interesting character. There needs to be a conflict. There needs to be a hint of what's coming, so that I know that I want to continue reading. What's going on with these characters? Why are these characters here? Why are they living where they're living? Who else is involved in this? Is there something that's going to happen that I should be looking for? The very, very best opening that I ever had, it's in a book called The Blonde. And the very first line was, I poisoned your drink. Okay, you go on from there. I just finished one last week called The Last Flight. Like, the last flight, that sounds interesting. And the very first sentence says, the day before the plane crash. Well, okay, now we know the last flight is the plane crash. And then it continues on, with all the people, what was going on. It was a very different book. It was not the book I expected, but it was very compelling. But the title, and even before the first sentence, let me know that there was something interesting going to happen. So you want readers to be interested in your book. Why are they interested in your book? Oh, because the characters do these really nice things, because there's something, the trauma that happens, because there's a lot of conflict in this family, because there's a bank robbery, because there's an earthquake. Whatever it is that you want your reader to be interested in, you need to kind of let us know in the first chapter. There doesn't have to be a dead body. If it's, it's not the club, but yet look how well that worked for Agatha Christie. If there was not a dead body, people didn't read Agatha Christie. They wanted that dead body. So keeping that philosophy, it doesn't have to be a dead body, but it has to be something. There has to be some reason that you want me to read this book, and you better tell me within the first couple pages would be better, because I got a big stack of books. I got dishes I have to be done. I've got laundry. I've got weeds in the yard. Something has to be more appealing to me to keep me reading that book. We all know how we love pulling weeds in the yard. So, give me some reason not to have to do that.
Okay, Barb, how many books do you read a month?
I review about 10 books a month, and I read other books that I don't review. So I read a lot of books. I read 20 hours a week.
Wow. Okay. And then Larry asks, what do you see as great things happening in story today? And also, what do you think is lacking?
I think that there's a lot of diversity in books now. I know that people were just heartbroken that Amazon Kindle was going to kill books, and we were all going to be sitting in the corner, writhing in pain. But ebooks have opened a brand new world to readers and writers, because books are now more portable, they're more affordable, they're available instantly online from libraries. You can carry a ton of books around with you. And I think that has opened up a lot of narrative avenues and storytelling avenues that never would have found their way into print books. And I think that's great for writers. And I think that you guys need to take advantage of that, and you need to promote your books in the same way that people are reading them. People are reading them online, they're buying them online. You need to promote them online. Please come to come to the bookstore to do book signings, but you can reach people in New Zealand, in Australia, in England. You write in English, lots of people speak English who don't live in the United States, and you can reach all those people with digital books. And the way to do that is to get reviewers on digital review sites, digital book sites, online sites, social media sites, because all of those people are just all lumped together. If you look through the places that people are on Facebook, where they are on Amazon, they're from everywhere. So there's a story to be told by everyone. So find your story, tell it with good grammar, and publish it as an ebook, and promote it as online using the social media that everybody thought was going to kill books.
Also, does it matter to you when you're looking for a book to review if the book is traditionally published or independently published? Does it make a difference? Okay.
Doesn't make a difference to me. No. Most of the books that I review come to me as ebooks. before they're published. Sometimes I'll get print copies, but not always. But it doesn't really matter. They come to me in the form they come, and I review them all.
Does anybody else have any questions for Barb?
What does my social media presence look like? Wow. At the very beginning of the chat, I did post links to my blog, my Goodread page, and my Facebook page. And you will not find the name Barbara Howe anywhere on it. So my social media presence is very different from my physical presence, deliberately so. And I think that's appropriate. And I think that would be appropriate for an author. Authors have used pseudonyms forever and a day. If you write under your own name, then you should at least have a social media presence that identifies you as an author that's separate from, as I said, the twins are cute, but you don't want to see them in amongst my book reviews. And let's see.
Okay, and then so how we were talking a little bit about the fact that you do a lot of reading.
Yep.
How much time do you spend on your social media? Because you do have such a large group, and we talked about social media. And do you have a newsletter, or do you keep in touch with this group in any way? And how much time does it take you in a week, let's say?
I don't do a newsletter because I don't have any news. I have book reviews and I post them online. So, but as an author, you have different news than I have. And I subscribe to a lot of author newsletters, and I like seeing them, and they come to my email and they promote their books, and I look, see, oh, I've got that book. I do a lot of social media only because not only do I review books and I post it on my blog the first time, but then when the book comes out and other people are talking about it, I do a follow-up. So if somebody says in one of my book groups says, I read this book, because that's what people do online. Book people, I'll go, look at the book I read. I do it all the time. I know that, you think it's only jewelry and, makeup and shoes. They talk about books. So all those little book groups, what book are you reading today? And sometimes people will just post, it's Friday, what book are you reading? And all these people are posting what books they're reading. So I go through that list, and anybody who has read a book that I've read, then I repost a link to my review. So not only is one person recommending that book, two people are recommending that book.
So smart.
Yeah, it is. And I've already done that work. The work is reading the book and writing the review. Once I'm done, I just copy the link and paste it. So that doesn't take much time. But I do spend a lot of time on social media because it's part of the follow-up of reading the book. I read the book, that of course takes the most time. It takes a lot of time to write a book review. You're thinking, she's got 250 words, she cranks that out in about 5 minutes, but not really, because I want it to be meaningful. I want it to be appropriate for the book. I want people to read the book after they've read my 250 words about your, big, long, thick book. So I spend a lot of time crafting the review and getting it right. Then, it doesn't take long to post it to my blog and then post that link everywhere. And then as I'm running through my list of, who's doing what, there's a book, what people are reading on Friday there. Then I take the time, and it takes maybe 15 or 20 minutes to look through all of the posts about books and add my reviews.
Okay.
But once you get in the habit of looking at the posts by book groups instead of the posts by wacko groups, by wacko people who are posting on your Facebook page, it really gets to be interesting, because in book groups, they're only talking about books. They have a moderator, and if you post a video of somebody beating somebody on the head, it's gone. There's none of that. So all of the trauma of Facebook is eliminated if you just go to your book groups. And, you know, I'm in like 8 or 10 book groups, and I look through those and I see what people are reading and what they're talking about. And that's where I spend most of my time. I do look at other stuff occasionally, but it's too depressing.
Okay, great. And then what do you think about the value of, I guess the difference between a book blurb and a review, and how important do you think those blurbs are on the on your book cover, and are they different?
I think they're very different. And I know most writers don't have any control over their book cover, but the book cover is the initial sales pitch to your book, be it in a bookstore or be it online. And now that a lot of books are being sold online, you have to remember that little thing is only this big. What is that cover going to look like this big? You're looking at a book. You're going, oh, this is a great cover. Look at this great cover. But what does it look like when it's this big? Take a picture of it, shrink it up, and go, can I tell what's going on? You know, all of those little details that you see on the regular size book disappear when it's tiny. So it's great to have those for people who buy a real book, because we want those details. But make sure that you look at what that book is going to look like when it's teeny tiny. Now, the back of the book never shows on an Amazon page, but all of the quotes do. And those quotes are important, because if I see that Michael Connelly looked like the book, like, oh, I like Michael Connelly's books, I bet I'll like that one too. Or, you know, here, and those are usually like 2 sentences. You know, it could be in all honesty, it could be 2 sentences about any book. You could probably take that sentence and put it on any other book. But the fact that that particular author has agreed to have that quote about this particular book is very important, because that defines your reader group. So not only are you tapping into people who read your own book, you're tapping into people who've read Michael Connelly's book. And lots of people have read Michael Connelly's book. And if they see a quote from him, like, oh, I might like that book. So he's just reaching out and giving them a little pat and saying, look, here's a good book. So I think they're very important, especially when people are buying them online and those things show up first. So usually here's the description from the publisher, which is usually what's printed on the front flap of the book. Sometimes they give away too much. And then here are all the little comments from people that everybody knows. And then there are reviewers from people like me.
Okay. How about for nonfiction?
Do I read nonfiction, or?
Well,
I do read
what do reviewers play that same role in terms of nonfiction, do you think? Or is that a primarily fiction?
You know, it's all about selling books. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's fiction, nonfiction. You know, it's probably different if it's a textbook. But, you know, if you're talking about something that's actually based, be it social commentary, be it true crime, be it historical events, it's all about selling books. And we reviewers help you sell books. And you're writing them because you have a story that you want to tell. You have a story that you want to tell, and you want people to buy the book. So reviewers play just as important a role, maybe more so, because, you know, a Civil War, is there something interesting? Is there anything we don't know about the Civil War? Well, yeah, here's a new look at, you know, the Battle of Nashville, you know, something like that. So reviewers are just as important for nonfiction books. They're important for children's books. They're very important for young adult books, because a lot of young adult books are bought by parents who have that account and they want to approve them ahead of time. So I think book reviewers are important for every book.
Okay, and then Diana wants to know, do authors pay for reviews? through the review organizations you mentioned. And then someone else said, how do you make any money? Or do you?
I don't make any money.
If any of these are too personal, let us know.
No, I don't make any money, but I get free books. So authors do not pay me to read their book. What they do is they give me a free book. I don't know how much they pay the service. I'm sure they pay something to be listed and to facilitate the transfer of those books, but they don't pay me. I get a book. As I've done this longer, sometimes I do get books directly from the publisher, and they bypass the two services. It does not cost me any money to belong to these services. It doesn't cost me anything to get the books. I get the books, they're ebooks. What they charge on the other end, I have no clue, but they don't pay me. I don't make any money, but I get free books.
Outstanding.
Sorry, we have one
Fantastic.
question here from Lillian that says, why 3 no 7 in your blog and Goodreads?
Okay, well, I told you that I want to be anonymous, and 307 is a family saying that has gone for years and years and years. You know, when are you going to pick up this trash in the hallway? How many times have I told you to pick up your laundry? 3 times? No, 7 times. So you just fill in whatever you want. How many times have I told you to blank? 307. I mean, it was a little joke around our household.
Okay.
So it was only logical that it was 307. How many times? How many books do I want you to buy? 3 books. No, 7 books.
Even better. Okay.
Even
and then we have Colleen wanted to ask you to please repeat the names of the review services that you work with.
NetGalley and Edelweiss, and I can put those in the thing
are they
as well,
specialty reviewers, Barb, or do they?
No, they're book suppliers. So Edelweiss is a publishing clearinghouse. So publishers put their books there, and booksellers, bookstores who want to buy books, buy them there. You know, you can buy a carton of 48. You know, so it's geared toward the bookstore owners and the libraries, but it has a division that specializes in getting review copies to reviewers. So not every book that they have on their site has a review copy available, and usually the review copies are available for a very limited time. You know, maybe in the 6 months before a book comes out, that may be review copies may be available for like a 2-month period, and you have to request them. You have to tell them why you want to read the book. You have to have a nice profile online, and then they'll either say, yep, we'll send you a book, or no, we won't. After a while, I've developed relationships with certain publishers that I'm pre-approved for any of the books that they publish, because they see that I read them and I post them. I do what I tell them I'm going to. And so then it makes it a little easier. NetGalley works the same way, only it's just for reviewers. It is not for people who are buying books. So publishers provide their books, they sort them all by genre, you request them, the publishers look at your profile and see whether they want you to have the book or not. And then after a while, they'll pre-approve people, or you request individual books. So they're 2 slightly different kinds of sites from my point of view, but from a publisher's point of view, they're very different. NetGalley is only for reviewers, only for galley copies. Edelweiss is a wholesale bookseller. Their job is to sell books and connect people with books, and as a sideline, they have people who review them.
Okay, so all right, I think we talked about we have this is our last question. you answered, you know, or talked a little bit about the services, NetGalley and otherwise. What about people who have books that are independently published?
About people who have books that what?
Are independently published?
Independently published could go through any of those services, but that's where it's up to you as the author to provide those services. That's where you need to find people who are going to read your books, find people who are interested in books that are like yours, and offer them a free book. That's where, if you have your own author website, you've accumulated all of these names and addresses of people. If you have your own email newsletter, that's where you offer, I'll send you an ebook. I don't know how much they cost, but they certainly don't cost as much as mailing a regular book. I'll send you an ebook if you'll promise to review it and send me a link to the review so that you know they've done it. And then they'll review your book, see what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And then you'll have the link and you can see who else is reviewing other than them. You'll have their link on Goodreads or Amazon or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of other people who might be interested in the next book because they've already read your first book.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you sharing all your secrets. I know I learned a lot. I imagine everybody else did too. So we're going to give you a silent SCWA round of applause.
And feel free to contact me. I put my information at the top, and you know.
Well, my question is, you talk so much about social media. So we loved what you said. We want to help promote you in return for your time, even though you're not asking us to do that. But if we want to do that, if we went in and we said on our pages we had a great session this morning, would we refer to you as Katie Caprero?
Sure.
Okay.
You can refer to me as anything, or you can refer to me as 307 on the. Okay. On lots of blogs, you know, I sign in as 307, and people call me 3. Okay. So I don't care. But okay. You can, if you want to refer to, if you want to say the reviews are available on Looks at Books, you know. Okay. Here's I don't care what you call me.
Okay, the 3 is very cool. That's what I'm going to call you from now on. Okay. All right.
I'll sign in. Next time I'll sign in as 3.
Okay. There we go. I want to thank you very much for taking time out away from your reading to join us. Thank you everybody for being here. I just want to remind you, if you're interested in attending our online meeting on Saturday, June 20th with Liz Fenton and Lisa Stenke, the deadline for the $5 donation is 6/12. After June 12th, we ask for a donation of $10. So if you want to sneak in with the $5 donation, we ask that you do it before the 12th. So it's just a little reminder. It's going to be fun. They're going to talk about book collaborating. They've collaborated forever, and they write domestic suspense. So not only are do they have best-selling books, they also have a TV show in San Diego, and they're going to talk about what it's like to write with someone else, which is really interesting, especially if you have to produce a lot of content and you're hoping to make some money writing. So anyway, I want to thank you all. Hopefully we'll see you soon, maybe at Happy Hour Friday. And then next week at this time, we have the Wednesday Hump Day book tour, which is a 5 to 7 minute book shot with a new author every week. And next week we're introducing Matt Coyle, if you don't know him. So we'll see you all then, and thank you very much.